How do you explain to someone how much they hurt you? If I want to try, my brain floats to so many emotions, but they start bouncing off the wall, and it's all too much to put in one sentence to describe it all.
Real Talk with Star Scorpio, Season 6. My guest, Belinda, she's a poet and a writer. And I came across her profile on Instagram, and I was intrigued by her style of poetry. And I wanted to learn more about where the words come from, what place the words come from. In her bio, she says, here to express what you feel but can't say. Belinda, welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. I'm so happy to have you here. And on Real Talk, we like to build a timeline. So let's get this going. Where were you born and raised?
So born and raised in New Jersey.
Oh,
Yeah. But my parents are Lebanese, so I did eventually move back to Lebanon.
hmm
Probably this was 14 years old,
hmm
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so Jersey, like I just got excited there because my wife and
Why?
because we went to Philadelphia and I filmed a Real Talk with an episode with one of my friends now that I call him my friend, Jake Portalees. And then we drove to Atlantic City. So we went through Jersey and I went to Jersey Shore and
Okay.
visited Jersey Shore House. So it was kind of cool that you're from Jersey. But you're saying you grew up, what age did you move back to Lebanon or to Lebanon?
I moved back at 14.
At 14. So
Yeah.
high
So
school, what did
my
you
childhood was there, but then like the actual fun that you probably would have in the
Yeah,
States,
yeah.
I kind of missed out on that.
Okay. And
Yeah. Well,
wait, so junior high. So junior high is when is high school? Like what age? Where did you go to high school?
so yeah, exactly. I left ending of elementary school, and then I went to high school in Lebanon.
In Lebanon. Okay.
Yeah,
And what were the
it was hard.
differences? It was hard, right?
It was because I mean, being born and raised in the States, like, yeah, my parents spoke Arabic at home, but with my friends, with just being outside, it was always English, English, English. So my Arabic was actually horrible.
Oh wow,
So
yeah.
when I moved back to Lebanon, I mean, most people speak English in Lebanon, but you know, it's just different. They expect you to know Arabic, and I'm like, I can't do it. It took me a while.
And present day, how's your Arabic now?
Um, it's good. It's good. It could be
Mm.
better, but it's good.
What about
But this is
writing?
like we're talking 14 till now. Like it has to be good.
Yeah, I don't like to age people, but let the people know how old you are now.
I'm 33.
33. Yeah, okay. But how's your writing in Arabic?
I don't write Arabic.
Oh, really?
We know how to speak, writing and reading is a no-no.
Yeah.
Although I probably should learn, honestly speaking
Yeah.
now, like all jokes aside. But it's a very hard language.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard.
How
If
was
I
it?
want to read, it will take me a while to finish a paragraph.
Yeah.
But it's not like I don't know the alphabet. I do, but it's different when you're actually trying to read a full sentence
hmm
and grammatically and your pronunciation for it to be on point.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Is it one of those things where like I have a lot of friends that speak different languages, um, and a lot of them tell me that didn't know how to speak, they can understand it. So when it was spoken to you, you can understand
Oh yeah.
all your life, right? Yeah.
Yeah, my parents speak Arabic at home, so it was like they speak to me Arabic, I speak back to them in English.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, no, no,
Yeah.
of course.
You have siblings?
I do, two sisters.
Two sisters, older, younger?
One older, one younger.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're the middle child.
I'm the middle. It's the worst thing to be the middle child.
Wait, going back to school. So how was it leaving your friends? When you grow up in the States and then you have your friends till 14, that's hard, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it was hard. It was. I had one best friend. It was really hard to leave her. It was like, soulmate best friend type of situation.
Yeah.
Um, but I also had a lot of lot of, how the States, a lot
Yeah.
of bullying, a lot of stuff like this. So a part of me did want to just kind of switch and see if I lived somewhere else, how would it be?
Hmm.
But yeah, it was hard, definitely. It was a bit of a culture shock for me because yeah, I did visit all the time because my parents always went to Lebanon in the summer,
Yeah.
but I always felt a bit like I needed to try to fit in there,
Okay.
because I'm so used to the States. So yeah, it's difficult when when your culture and your background is different from another, and you're kind of like in between. You're a
Yeah.
little of this and a little of that, and you kind of just don't know where you fit sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's difficult.
that happens. Yeah, I didn't have to experience that all my life. Born and raised in Canada, didn't have to experience that. But I was gonna ask you, so social media era, so you left your friends. I can't remember like how long Facebook's been around. I remember I got on it in 2008. But
Mhm.
did you have it? I can't remember. Was it there then? Because when you leave your friends, it's hard. But then when we have these ways to connect with them,
Yeah.
was it there easier? Because back in the days, we're writing letters to people, mailing letters to people. But once you have the internet, it's different.
Actually, I don't think Facebook was there at the time that I had left, but I did find a lot of friends later on. Like
Okay.
somebody would just pop up, like this person started following you, and then I'll go back and I'm like, oh my God, that was like this person from my school.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and we actually still follow each other. Sometimes, kind of catch up. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
nice. It's nice to see it as well, like, where you were, and then this person now has like married with kids.
Yeah,
It's
it's
nice to see.
crazy. Yeah. Okay, now on school, what subjects did you excel in and what did you like? Because I want to know if poetry started in your school days.
It started at a young age, I'm not gonna lie. I probably actually don't have them with me, but they're probably in some box in Lebanon.
Okay.
I made two big books of poetry. And
Mhm.
this was probably, um, when did this start? I think 10 or 11 years old.
Okay.
Of course, the poems I used to write are not like the poems I write now, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was always something that interested me a lot. And I felt like it was a way to express myself.
Mhm.
And anytime that I was upset or angry about something, I always wanted to put it down on paper. So
Okay.
that's kind of been a habit since I was young.
Hmm.
Um, but I kind of as I grew older and, went to college and all of that, I kind of forgot about it, put it on the side,
Oh.
and I think I just started coping with my feelings in different ways. Um, so it did start at a young age,
Hmm.
but there was a big chunk of time where I just kind of let it go.
Yeah.
I didn't really let myself dive deep into it.
Hmm.
Um, and then, do you want to know how I got back into it?
No, yeah, I'll ask that later. But I want to know what
Yeah.
inspired your first poem because I'll tell you right now, like I got into poetry in
Hmm.
high school because I got hurt from a relationship. And the poem wrote itself. And I'll recite the beginning to you because I still remember it. And
Oh
it
yeah, I'd
actually
love to
got
hear that.
yeah, it actually got published in a book and a magazine.
Nice.
And
Okay.
but it's so crazy. Someone said to me, "Oh, you were probably hurt bad." Because you know how it started off? It was, "How long must I endure this pain I feel? The deep-rooted pain, it seems unreal. The pain runs through
Oh,
my veins each night." And then that's all I remember right now. But the pain runs through my veins each night. Oh my gosh. But it
that's
wrote
deep. That's
itself.
dark and deep.
It's dark and deep, right? But it wrote itself. So do you remember your first poem, like your very first poem, and what inspired it?
So I know what inspired it because I was also in love,
Mhm.
um the young puppy first love type of
Yeah.
thing. That's probably what no, actually no, because that my first love was at 15 probably,
Hmm.
and I started writing way before that. But like, I actually have those books, and I said to myself, next time I go to Lebanon, I want to find them and I want to take them back with me because I mean, it's just too much. Like for me to go through that, it's just
Yeah.
gonna be a trip, you
Wow.
know.
Yeah.
But I don't remember my first poem ever. Oh no, I'll let you know when I get the poem.
Yeah, let me know because I'm glad you said you had a book because I was gonna ask if you have a book of poetry that you have that you can reflect on and go through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't like a published book, not yet.
No, no,
I'm
like
actually working on one.
even your personal book, like because I have them
Yeah.
upstairs where I can just flip through and it's like, oh my gosh, some of
Okay,
them
so
are.
you used to write poetry,
I
like it
used to
was a
write.
thing for you.
Yeah, and
Mm.
because I told you before I started recording, I used to do stand-up comedy. So when I was in college, I used to write funny poems too about our teachers, about the
Nice.
school. So it wasn't just about like love. I wrote about
Yeah,
politics and school and everything, and it's like I loved it. So I feel that from
I
you
love
too.
that. I love
Yeah.
that because it's so hard for me to write a happy poem. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's really
Wait, so where did this line come from? Here to express what you
hard.
feel, but can't say.
Um, it
But
probably reflects back to me
mhm,
because um, I feel like when I try to write poetry, it's always coming from a place where you're feeling something intensely, and sometimes you can't put the words together to actually explain it.
mhm,
And I think that's very difficult for somebody to feel something over and over again and can't actually put it into words.
yeah,
And sometimes when you can put it into words, you understand it better and you can cope with the feeling better. So, yeah, I realize that my poetry is a bit, it could be depressive, it could be dark sometimes.
yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, that's, you know, that's the part of us that we can't really express out
Yeah.
loud.
Wow,
Yeah.
well said. Um, I like now you record yourself. I want to ask you about that. Because I had to scroll to get your first post. And it might not be your first post because people delete and stuff, but I'm talking about what's there right now. But before I
What is
say
there
that,
right
I'll let I wrote it down, so I'll let you know. But first, I'm glad you do what you do because some people need to hear things like this to make them feel better, to ease pain on certain things, because that's what
Yeah,
music does too. But poetry does the same thing. So kudos to that.
exactly.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
how I told you my poem was in a book and a magazine. Have you have any? I know you're working on something now, but do you have anything published? Like, did you do any contests or anything back in the day?
No, I've done like open mic nights of poetry. I've done that, you know, 'cause it's fun. It's good practice to be in front of people and you know, be so vulnerable up there. My first time was I was so nervous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to attend like poetry events like that.
Hmm.
But publishing a book, I'm actually working on one.
Nice.
It's just, you know, between work and actually having that, like just sitting down and being able to focus on it because you want it to be absolutely perfect if you're putting in a book.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, soon it should come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let the people know where you are now, though, because we were talking about this before I recorded as well. So where you are now, and is it because of work that you're there? Let me know.
Um, so I am in Dubai. I've been living here for 4 years now. Um, the original decision to move here was probably two things. First, it was just wanting a change. I felt like I had kind of been, so I'm actually a dietitian. Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, just so because you don't know that actually about
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I'm a dietitian, and I just felt like work in Lebanon was a bit just more of a routine. I didn't feel like I was stepping up with my career much. So I got a job offer here, and I had friends, like friends I've been friends with for like 15, 20 years, that always encouraged me, like, why don't you come try to live here? It's close to home as well. So, and just really wanted the change. So I was like, you know what? Let's see.
Hmm.
Um, I came here for a month. I was like, if I find a job before I leave here, then I'll move. If not, then we'll rethink the whole
Yeah.
scenario. And I actually did get a job the last day before I was traveling back to Lebanon. So
Wow.
I was like, okay, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I've been here since, and I really like it actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard there's like I had a guest, Rinky. She's a blogger. She did wedding planning, all that event planning, and she was in Dubai. I think she was born there, and then she came to Canada. But we were talking about because the tallest building, the Burj Khalifa.
Burj Khalifa. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been in to the Burj Khalifa?
I actually haven't been in it.
Oh no.
So, no, you know, the thing is, when somebody comes as a
Oh
tourist, they
yeah.
do all of these things. And for me, I just came the first week I came, I was like, okay, we started work.
Yeah.
But no, I've been, you know, there are restaurants around it. There's Dubai Mall that's right across from it. So you can see like they have a light show. So of course I've been there. I've
Yeah.
seen that. But actually went up inside of it. No,
No.
no.
Yeah. It's like
I
Canada.
probably should do
Yeah,
that.
check it out. You have to check it out. And we're gonna do a podcast just on that. It's just like here in Canada, like the CN Tower, right? Like,
Mhm.
but I've been there many times. I actually worked at the CN Tower. But a lot of people
Okay.
from Canada, or
Yeah,
Toronto, they don't go to the CN Tower, but yeah, it's a tourist attraction.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I heard the nightlife is good, and the beauty of it, there's no taxes, right? There's no income tax, right? Or something like that.
No, no. But it also depends where you're from, you know, and if
Yeah.
you have taxes in the country that you're from, like your passport at the end of the day.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay, oh, okay.
But yeah,
But
nightlife, it's really something here, honestly.
oh man,
It's fun.
amazing.
Like when if somebody comes for even like a week or two, they will have fun. And then
Yeah.
somebody who lives here, like, you know, there's always the weather's always nice,
Hmm.
unless it's summer and it's really, really hot, but
Yeah.
most of the time. Yeah, it's a nice place to live. It is. It is. It depends
Sweet.
what you're looking for. This is why I always say, like,
Hmm.
it depends where somebody feels comfortable, what type of lifestyle they're looking for. Like, it matters a lot.
Hmm. Is the
So yeah,
opportunity, is there a lot of opportunities there when it comes to jobs and things like that there?
there is, but also I think it depends on the your field.
Okay.
Depends on your field, definitely. But
Yeah.
no, there is.
Nice.
Yeah.
And wait, do you want to remain in Dubai and just the rest of your life there, or do you want to come back to the States? What do you want to do?
The rest of my life, I can't decide that right
Yeah,
now.
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, life could take you anywhere, right? It
Mhm.
could be back to the States. It could be my sister lives in Montreal. Maybe it could be
Oh,
there.
really?
Um, yeah, yeah.
So
Could
have
be
you
back
come?
in Lebanon, though unlikely.
Unlikely. Have you come to Canada then? Have you come?
I have. I
Oh,
have.
and what do you
Yeah,
think?
a few
What do you think?
times. Um, I mean, you guys live a very simple life, a very calm life, and I think it's nice. Like that's a nice aspect of it.
Hmm.
But it's too cold.
Oh, it's too.
Like I literally, there was one time where my sister was picking me up from the airport, and I was coming from Dubai, and I got so used to the weather here. So what I packed was not right. Honestly, I tried my best to take like all my hoodies, but like for example, like socks, you know, like the socks that are the ankle socks,
Yeah.
and I was wearing leggings, and there's like a little bit of my ankles that are showing, and then we she picks me up, and then we step outside, and she's like, "Are you crazy? You're gonna freeze. Like, is this what you're wearing?" And I'm like, "It's fine. It's 5 minutes to the taxi." And I swear, those 5 minutes, I was like, "Oh my God, how
Yeah.
how do you guys live here?"
Yeah. Yeah. You came in winter, right? You came in winter time.
And I didn't wear any of those socks. I took her socks. I was like, "These are way too thin."
Yeah, you can't wear ankle socks in this cold weather. And if you're talking,
No.
you're in Montreal then, right? You went to Montreal?
Montreal and Toronto. And she's been in she's lived in both.
Okay.
So I visited her in both, yeah. But Montreal is it's way too cold. Not
Montreal
that
is
Toronto is
bitter.
not. It is.
Yeah, Toronto's cold. But Montreal is bitter cold because we
Yeah.
actually we got married my wife and I married in December. So we went to Montreal for our honeymoon. And
Okay.
it was bitter cold. And I'm like, this is not the cold I feel in Toronto, even though Toronto's cold. But yeah,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
wear
It's
ankle
it's that
socks.
cold that hits the bones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bone chill, the bone chill. Okay,
Yeah.
now your first post. So you're saying, oh, what was it? So
Yeah.
you said, look me in the eye and tell me you feel nothing. So I want to ask you, a lot of your first posts, you have the line, just a line or two or three, and nice imagery in the background. So why did you start with that type of poetry? And then now you're recording yourself, which I think is beautiful. Tell me that journey.
Okay. So what got me into poetry again was a very, very, very bad breakup. Um, it had a real toll on me. Let's just say that. So um, it kind of just came to me one day, like, you know what? I have so many feelings I want to express. And then you start to think, maybe other people have felt the same way. Maybe this is something I should share. Maybe it's something that somebody could look at and say, although it's sad, but it could kind of make them feel better in a way that, somebody else feels the same way, or that really, hit a feeling inside that maybe I wasn't able to express. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just start putting things out there, see how it goes. But yeah, it was more of sentences, and it's quite interesting how I started and how, what I'm posting now. And I actually thought about that the other day, and I'm like, should I delete all the other ones and just make it all videos? But then I'm like, no, like these are memories.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just started to put bit by bit, and it was just a way to relieve myself of whatever I was feeling and just sharing it with somebody else. And yeah, it was fun to pick a picture that could kind of resonate with the words or kind
Yeah.
of give it a little more meaning. Um, and then I could say I stopped for a while, probably because I was in another relationship where I was like, okay, let's just put the poetry on the side first.
Yeah.
you know because there's also that being somebody who is a poet or a writer and expressing that, you always have to think, what are people thinking? Like,
Yeah.
is this person gonna think it's about them? So it was a little annoying for me in the beginning, especially in the beginning of a relationship. So I was like, you know what, maybe I don't post right now.
Okay.
So I took a little break, and then that relationship didn't go so well. So it was just like this extra boost that just came to me. And I'm like, you know what? I have so much more to say.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was just seeing how social media was changing with poetry as well. And um, doing poetry nights, like open mic nights. I had so much fun with that. So I was like, you know what? Let me actually do this and post it.
Mhm.
And it was hard. It was hard in the beginning. It was like I'm just putting my heart out to the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard. The first couple of posts of videos, it was like, I wonder what people are gonna think. Like, are they gonna think like, oh, this girl is so emotional?
Yeah. But you get the positive feedback though. Maybe that affirmation helped out too, right? When,
It did.
oh,
It did.
okay.
The
Hmm.
positive feedback, I was like, okay, I see. Like, you know what? People are actually appreciating it, and they're actually relating to it. And if I could, make somebody feel better in that way, that's why I write poetry at the end of the day. Like, I want somebody to say, oh my God, she hit exactly what I'm feeling? So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why, I scrolled through and watched many of your posts, and like it resonates with you. But also, if it didn't resonate with me, I could feel it in someone else too. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
it's,
that's so nice.
yeah, that's how deep it is. It's nice. Okay, so that's why you
What
took,
resonated with you?
pardon?
What resonated with you?
The feel, because you do the poetry where it seems like there's a lot of hurt, right?
Hmm.
So even the one that I posted as a teaser, it was about women though. So I could feel, I posted something special for women, and I put it
Yeah.
to a reggae song from back in the days. And I put 4 or 5 women that I know in my life. And, I love editing. So the music was with their images, right? And there's something
Nice.
about beauty inside. So that post, some people responded when I put up that story, not a post. of you talking about women. I'm like, so I could feel it in others. But the ones that resonate with me though are those ones where it seems like there's a lot of hurt from relationships. And I'm like, wow, this is deep. Like you go deep, you know what I mean? But it's beautiful.
Thank
I'm
you.
telling you, beautiful. And what I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
like when I do the teasers for our video here, I'm gonna see if I can grab some of your work and put it in our interview here because you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
You'll see what I pick when I
No,
when
no,
I
it
pick.
sounds nice. Sounds nice. Yeah.
Okay, now you know when I was saying and you were explaining it, you put the imagery to some sentences, but now you record yourself and then you're saying you don't know how people are going to react. But aside from that, how did you feel recording yourself and seeing yourself there on your post?
Yeah. That's the thing that probably my first 10 to 15 videos,
Mhm.
um, it was hard to let out the way I wanted to express it. And I don't know if you could actually realize the growth from my first videos to the ones I post now. It's like I don't give a shit. I'm gonna say what I want to say, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Before it was a little like that expression that comes with what I'm saying was
Mhm.
maybe a little bit on the softer side,
Mhm.
just because it's really about feedback at the end of the day. If you feel like no, actually, and you will get people who message you saying like, I like this video a lot because you did this, that. So I'm like, okay, they actually like the really
Yeah.
emotional um facial expressions and like just really putting yourself out there, because sometimes you are going to be a bit reserved
Mhm.
because you don't also want to show sometimes how much pain you are in about
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and the thing is, which is also something that I feel like I struggle with a bit, is that when you're always posting stuff like this and it's very emotional and you're letting your body, your body language also go with what you're saying,
Yeah.
you get a lot of comments from like friends and family that are like, are you
Are you
okay, are you
okay?
going through, and I'm like,
I
I'm
know.
like I'm like, I'm fine. This is art. This is me expressing something. Like, I might not be feeling it right now, but maybe at some time in my
Hold on,
life.
hold on, hold on. Okay. Okay, go on. Go on. You have a lot of humor too. I gotta tell you, your personality. It's like you got that great aura. You got that great aura. Oh my gosh, amazing. Sorry I cut you off. That was funny.
No, no, it's fine. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm always thinking that. And like, sometimes it's like, this might be a little too dramatic for these individuals. Like,
Yeah.
I'll have people in my head. But then, yeah, that's what annoys me a little bit, because people just always think like, oh, she's so sad. I'm like, I'm not so sad, Like, as you can see, I have a very positive side to me, but
Mhm.
I do believe that poetry is supposed to make you feel something, and most of the time, that's a sad poem. That's
Yes.
that's it touches you where the things that the things that you hide every day, or the things that you don't really want to express, and
Mhm.
especially in this new like generation, you feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people have just created this fakeness about them because they don't actually want to express emotion, they don't want to show weakness.
Mhm.
So there's that to consider as well. Like, all of you people might be sadder than me, but you just don't show it.
Yeah. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
vulnerability comes to mind, right? You're showing that side. Yeah, it's a journey, and that's why you should never erase what you did in the past because you get to see your journey. It's a timeline. It's amazing. Build that
True.
timeline. Okay. I told you in the beginning that I stopped in the middle of our interview to ask a question. And this is the time. So for season 6, I've been asking this question. Um, tell me what you would choose. Would you rather visit your younger self and give her advice? Or would you rather visit your older self and get advice for the future?
Definitely younger.
Mhm. And why?
definitely.
Why?
Um, because I would have been able to save her a lot of heartache.
Mm,
Um, it's an interesting question because you could probably think the same way for your older self as well. But I think when you're young, there's so much to experience. There's
mm,
so many possibilities for you because you're more innocent, you're more vulnerable. You're still experiencing the world, and nobody really tells you, this might happen to you or this might happen to you. So having somebody go back, like come to me when I'm younger and tell me like, okay, so we're gonna have this issue, and this issue.
yeah.
I'm serious. I probably would have been like, okay, so I'm gonna work really hard to at least prevent half of what's gonna
Mm,
happen, you
yeah.
know? And not necessarily listen, for me, it's like what I've been through has made me who I am. And a
Yeah.
doesn't part of me doesn't regret it all.
Yeah.
But if it was like, just like a little bit of a this is coming, like a little warning sign would be nice.
Some guidance. Wow. Interesting. Okay. So there's two parts to this. Now,
Mhm.
let me know. And it doesn't matter if someone chose younger or older. This question is to do with your younger self. And there's
Mhm.
four things I'm going to ask. What would you tell your younger self about money?
Mm, it comes and goes.
Nice
It
one.
comes and goes. Yeah. I think, at the end of the day, you have to enjoy your life. Okay, not, go on a shopping spree every week, but there should be a bit of it shouldn't be such a stress all the time. Like
Mhm.
it should be a stress where it's needed and where it's not needed, not really.
Wow. I like that. Because,
Mm.
I'm glad you said that because like I in my life I always worry about money. Like I've always worried like but if I think of myself present day and I know everyone's life's not the same. But when I think about a present day and when you put work out there and you have support, things always work. They work out. Money always comes, but you have to work for it, right? And when I think of all the times I worried about money in the past and I'm like looking where I am now with my wife, with my daughter, I'm like we're fine. And I worried back in the day and you cause yourself stress, but it always
Yeah.
came. It always worked out. But it's hard
Yeah.
to say because that doesn't happen to everyone. But if you work and
No,
you have faith,
100%. I mean,
yeah,
I've had times where even with the job and everything, I mean, sometimes if you don't really, again, probably goes back to how much you're actually saving. But
mm,
I went through really bad times, even in Dubai, where I was, I didn't have a job. I was looking for one. It took a while. So,
mhm.
there were times where I literally moved houses. I didn't have a washing machine in my house.
Yeah, yeah,
I was using my friends, like there are times in your life where you are going to be a little tight, but there's always that positivity, like, okay, this is happening now, but it's not going to happen forever, right? Like
yeah,
there's got to be something that's got to give, you
yeah,
know. But no, I get you. I mean, everybody worries about money. it's
yeah.
it's it's a part of our society. Like it would be
Mhm,
weird if we didn't worry about money. But I guess it's deciding when you want to worry more and
mhm.
when you can kind of just be like, you know what, it'll pass.
Wow, wow. Well said. That was well said. Beautiful. Okay, what would you tell your? Oh, this is. You know what? For you, I'm gonna say this one for last. What would what would you tell your younger self about family?
Oh, that's a difficult one. um, Probably that's, you are going to go through a lot of things with family, and the important thing is always to see the bigger picture with them, because you can get caught up in little arguments, little, if you want, grudges that at the end of the day don't really mean anything. But also, I think it's always trying to allow other family members to understand you the best you can, because I think I've struggled with that a little bit in my personal experience, that sometimes it's hard for people to understand who you really are, even if it's family. So yeah, maybe be more open, maybe
Mhm.
be more, allow yourself to express more than you usually do, because ironically I am sometimes somebody who does not express to the people closest to me, you know,
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
that's probably what it.
Mhm. Okay. Um, what would you tell your younger self about friends?
Hmm, they also coming
Oh yeah. Oh,
they,
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
what,
Okay.
okay, I'll give you something else. um don't trust most of them.
Wow. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think there's really a few. You can count the people that you can, the friends that you could actually say became like family to you, or would, you know, never hurt you or betray your trust. Like, I think it's just a part of the dynamic of friendship, because I think it's hard for somebody that is not forced to love you like family
Yeah.
to, and it's not a relationship, so it's kind of this in between thing where sometimes it's very it changes, it's not always so constant.
Hmm.
And somebody, you know, might be loyal to you one day, and then maybe, you know, 4 or 5 years down the line could change, you know. So, and it's happened to me. I've had friends that were super close that I thought these were lifetime friends,
Yeah.
um, and we don't talk anymore, you know,
Wow.
and they ended badly as well. So
Yeah. It happens. It happens. Wow.
yeah,
Thanks for sharing
yeah.
that. And now you know the last one. What
What is
would you
this really for?
what I came up with these questions like for my first 4 seasons, it was 4 seasons of real talk. It was nice. It was just learning about my guests and things like that. And then I came up with this question. I can't remember what season it was, but you're going to get the
Okay.
question too. So don't you worry about it. Because I wanted to learn, because a lot of people that listen to the podcast, it really helps them out, whether it be for healing or inspiration. And you'll see when I ask the next question near the end of our interview. But this one I say for you because your poetry. So you answered money, family, friends. What would you tell your younger self about love?
Oh, uh, what would I tell my younger self about love? Not everybody loves the way you do. And probably that is the hardest lesson to learn, because it's more like you always think that if I'm giving this person all of these things, if I love them in this certain way, if I wouldn't do that to them, then it should be reciprocated by default, which is really not true. Because again, it's not just about expression. Like, people express things in a different way, but it's also they love in a different way. Like, somebody, maybe your heart is really too sweet or too good, and somebody else, they can't love in the same depth that you love, you know?
Mhm.
So and that's hard to learn, because sometimes when you're in a relationship and it's kind of from the out, you're looking in from the outside, you don't really know that that's a possibility, that, you know, we're having fun, everything's great, you know, he says this, he says that, but do you actually know how they're feeling inside, if it's the same as how you feel? Not
Yeah.
really.
Wow. Powerful.
Yeah.
Do you believe in soulmates?
Ah, that's a difficult question. I actually have a poem about that. I don't know why. I don't know if this is why you're asking. Um, listen, I was a very hopeless romantic. I was somebody who believed in soulmates. Um, but I think I always wanted to believe in those things. Um, I'm not sure if I believe in them anymore, to be honest.
Mm.
It's um, it's a tough question. Like, I don't think, actually, I don't think that we are meant for one person. I think you love each person in a very different way. Like, no relationship is ever the same.
Mhm.
And sometimes you can love somebody and love somebody else in really, really, really different ways. Um, and then that kind of brings the question up of, okay, so if I love two people in this way and in this way, like, they're two different ways, who's the one that is actually, could I call a soulmate, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, relationships are hard. I think it's how much somebody actually wants to be with you. I think that's what could make somebody your soulmate. Like, how much are they willing to fight for you? You
Mhm.
know? Yeah.
Wow, that's a great answer. You should be a life coach or something. You should be a teacher, a life coach. You're a dietitian. You say you're a dietitian? Is it
I am, yeah.
dietary aid, dietitian? Stop that. Get into the love field. You could help some people out.
So, I mean, why not? Why not? Listen, the thing is, I actually wanted to be a psychologist before I decided on nutrition. So
Oh,
I guess, yeah, probably
mhm.
what I should have done.
Yeah.
Although I'm a good dietitian. Listen, being a dietitian is one of those things where you actually have to kind of be a life coach in some way,
Yeah.
because there is a lot of psychology that comes into being a dietitian.
Mhm.
So it's not that far. It's not
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. I see it. I see it. Okay, so back to the poetry for a minute. So you know how I told you I wrote poetry back in the days, but I probably only have like 10. So my question to you is, I could recite my poetry, not now, as you've seen, I forgot some of the lines of that one, but I used to be able to recite any poem that I wrote, and it was just a
Yeah.
10. You have so many poems. Are you like a musician, like an artist, where if I tell you, oh, you know that poem, this name, can you recite it, or would you have to read it?
I would have to read
You'd have to
it.
read it. Yeah.
The thing is that probably when I see it, it flows very easily because I've recited it a lot.
Okay.
But no, like my memory is not that good.
Okay. Okay. Unless you did it like many times, right? Maybe that's when one can come to you like no problem, or what do you
Yeah.
think? Yeah.
I mean, if you want me to recite one, I could recite one, but I'm gonna have to read it off my laptop.
Oh no, that's fine. And you're gonna do that for us near the end. Perfect.
Yeah, but you know what it is? Like so many times, if I have like a poetry event and I want to recite a poem, I think to myself, what would happen if you actually gave it a shot to just go up without your phone and
Yeah.
just, you know, and then I'm like, no, there's too much pressure there, and it's about the flow. Like if you want it to flow the way you want it to flow, you
Mhm.
need to have that backup in case you need it. Sometimes you wouldn't need it. Sometimes I'd recite the poem, I'd probably look down at it once or twice,
Mhm.
but it has to be there because that it could just ruin the flow sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and the last question I had about to you about poetry is the performance, the spoken word, the event. Were you nervous the first time that you had to do like a live show and
So nervous. I was shaking because it was so hard to get up there and see all of these people silence in the place, and everybody's just sitting there like, what is she going to say? And I'm like, oh my God, it was very nerve-wracking.
Mhm.
Um, but I think, compared to like I got used to it quickly. Like the second time I was like, okay, you know what? We did it already. Why am I nervous? So
Okay.
like now after doing a lot of them, I feel like, it's always a vulnerability going up there, but you also know that these people, your audience, are people who enjoy poetry. So
There you
it's
go.
not like you're reciting it, in a supermarket or
Yeah.
something. Like, you're reciting it in front of people that actually enjoy what they came here for it.
Mhm.
So yeah, when you think like that, you're like, okay. And then when you also hear other poets, you're just like, okay, mine might be the most emotional one, possibly,
Yeah.
but still, it's yeah, you just get used to that. And it's really nice because it's a really nice community. Like the poetry community is nice. It's a
Yeah.
nice thing to be part of.
Beautiful. Have you made anyone cry when you finished reading? Do you know if you have, or has anyone come up to you?
I don't know if I made anybody cry, but I have had people come up to me and tell me like that was just too much, and I'm like, okay, I'm taking that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
no, no, I've had some nice comments. I actually had one comment which was, we need to make a whole event for you, and I'm like, yes, please do that.
oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Do you have anything coming up now though?
Um, it's more of how much I want to participate because I can literally find like a bunch of poetry events here and there.
Mhm.
Um, so it's one of those things where, when I'm feeling a little more open to vulnerability, I'll do maybe like a couple in a month, and then sometimes I'll just take a little break off of it. So, back and forth.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, it's more of, I do want to work on my social media and my book much more, because like the poetry events, they're nice. It's exposure. You're putting yourself out there, but sometimes also it's the same community over and over again, so you kind of feel like,
Hmm.
I could skip this time, or you know what I mean? So people already know you, they already know what you're about, and you already know what they're about, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing to do. So yeah.
But with that book, when it comes out, you can get that reach, those the bigger audiences out there too, right? Would you have a
Yeah.
timeline for the book?
Actually,
The
sorry.
poetry book? Do you have a timeline when you want to actually get it out there?
Um, well, there was a time where I finished so much in a very short amount of time, and then I kind of had this writer's block, and I'm like, okay, because you know what? The book I actually want to write is, or the book I'm writing is a little different from what I've been posting. So
Mhm.
none of the content that I put on my social media is going to be in there,
Okay.
basically.
Hmm.
So it's all fresh stuff. Um, but it is like, it's a concept for the whole book, and that makes it a bit harder sometimes to just put all the pieces together,
Hmm.
because it's not like just random poetry that I just want to put in a book. No, that's not what it was about. It was more of an idea,
Yeah.
um maybe a little more for women. This one will be
Okay.
for women.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I said to myself, you know what, the next one will be for men. I mean, it's only fair.
Yes. Oh, tell me
Yeah,
something.
so
Wait, tell me something. When you name your poems, do you name it before or after? Because I'll tell you, when I wrote that poem when I got hurt in a relationship, I wrote it and I named it after. I called it Eternal Pain. It came to me
mhm,
after. But what about you? How does the
always
name come
after.
about? Always after.
Yeah,
Mm,
it's more like I just sit, read it over, and I'm like, what did, like, how can the name express this poem,
hmm.
and sometimes you really don't find something that's clear cut, but sometimes it's just like, it would just hit me like, yes, that's it, that's gonna be the name.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
honestly, I don't feel like the title is as important as the actual poem. Like, you could actually not even call it anything, and if the poem's good, the poem's
Yeah,
good.
you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so sorry, I cut you off. You were saying something. So the timeline for your book though, like when did you want to get that done by?
Mm, I didn't put a timeline, just because I didn't want to pressure myself into writing quickly just because I want to reach that goal.
Okay.
More of allowing myself to have some time to contribute to that writing, because sometimes also with work and just life can get hectic, and you don't have that. You need that, like, that peace of mind to just sit down and be like, I'm gonna write,
Hmm.
and you want it to be good. And sometimes, honestly, it's funny because the times that I do that, nothing comes to me the way I want it to.
Yeah.
And when I'm in bed and I'm half asleep, and just things will pop in my mind, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to write that down, like, right now. you know
Yeah.
so it comes in the least expected times, honestly. And I literally, like, if you check my notes on my phone, there's so many poems scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just like, I need to save this, and then I'll go back to it, and I'll perfect it. But that idea, or just like a word, a line of expression that is something you can expand and make into a beautiful poem, like, sometimes it will come to me in the weirdest times, or like
Yeah.
in the middle of talking to somebody. I'll just be like, I have to write that down,
You
but I
have
don't
to
want
write
to
it down.
interrupt the person.
That's crazy how you
So,
that's the thought process and the work behind it. Because this is the same thing that happened to me when I did comedy. And I made mistakes because you know how you just mentioned when you're sleeping and you're in that phase where your mind is thinking. I should have wrote so many things down because I said, nah, I'll remember when I get up. And then it was gone.
exactly.
That's horrible. That's horrible. But do you keep your phone close though, or a pen pad close where if you have an idea, you don't want to lose it, you jot it down if you're sleeping?
Yeah. No, I keep my phone close, but sometimes I do exactly what you just said. Like, it's fine. There's no way I'm gonna forget such a brilliant idea tomorrow. I'll write it down tomorrow, and then I probably missed out on so many poems like that, honestly.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I learned my lesson hard. But because it's a gem, it's a gem and you're like, wow. Okay. Um, you know what I want you to do now, and you mentioned it. So I want you to read one of your poems on the podcast.
Okay. Do you want a short one or a long one?
Whatever you feel.
Okay. So you did post when you first announced the podcast with me, you did post one that I assume that you liked, probably because you picked that one first. I don't know. It's the how do you tell somebody how much they hurt you?
Wow, you get it. I think that was it. That was the one, right? That
That
was the
was the
one.
one. So I thought, maybe that would be the one that you would, want. And I can see, given your first poem, I can understand why you like that.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do that one.
Hmm.
This would be my first time reading on a podcast.
Oh, nice.
Okay. How do you explain to someone how much they hurt you? If I want to try, my brain floats to so many emotions, but they start bouncing off the wall, and it's all too much to put in one sentence to describe it all. And I'm left with one word: immense. Immensely sad, immensely angry, immensely lost in feelings too dense. How do you explain to someone how much they hurt you? Without my jaw and shoulders molding into a clench, if only tears could speak, could you imagine all the words each tear would leak? They'd explain what I'm trying to week after week. How do you explain to someone how much they hurt you? My voice quivering, quivering like paper flying through wind. If the frequencies of my voice could speak, can you imagine all the painful noises they'd make, the type of glass they could break? How do you explain to someone how much they hurt you? There are no words that can explain. If there were, I wouldn't be in this much pain. So that poem, what, the thing is, this poem was probably the most one that had comments on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, okay, a lot of people are trying to express how much somebody.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Wow. Thank you for reciting that. I appreciate that. Amazing. Your hair color. Let me just ask you that quick. So in a lot of your posts, I see red hair and then now I see it dark. So let the people know what's going on.
I got a lot of comments, honestly, after I changed my hair, and they're like, oh no, where'd the red go?
Yeah.
I don't know why they liked it so much. But I change my hair a lot. It's just who I am. Like, I've had blonde hair, black hair, different shades of red, different shades of pink. Yeah, different shades of everything, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's just, for me personally, like, it's just an expression of character. Like, I just feel like the crazy inside has to come out with something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been a while since I've done my hair black, and I just thought, let me just give it a break from all of the dyeing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is. But I definitely will go back to the red at some point in time. I will.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. We come to the point of the interview now where I have 2 questions. And for season 6, you're either going to choose Toronto Blue Jays or the Toronto Raptors.
I can't see these papers.
Do you want the Blue Jays or the Raptors?
Oh, okay. So, okay, got you. The Blue Jays seem to be softer for some reason.
All right.
Go ahead.
Ready?
Yeah.
Name one challenging thing you had to overcome in life.
Oh, I should have went with Raptors. Oh my God. that's really personal. One
Oh,
challenging thing. Okay. I'll keep it in the love category because there are so many things that I actually come to mind, things that I'm still um trying to overcome if you
oh
want.
wow. Okay.
But probably one of the hardest things I had to overcome was finally letting go of somebody that was the supposedly the love of my life, which probably now I look back at it, I mean, I don't know, probably not, but um, yeah, it took a really, really, really heavy toll on me
Mhm.
for a long time. And it was at some point, it felt like something that I could never actually get over. But you know, that's what love and heartbreak is. And then eventually you realize, even if it took a lot of time, a lot of healing, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of, you know, just sitting yourself down and talking to yourself, like, listen, you're not going to let this control you anymore, you know? Um, but yeah, it was really hard for me for a lot of reasons. But that was probably one of the biggest things in my life that I had to overcome because it sounds like okay, so it was a breakup. It was way more for me than that because there
Mhm.
were so many aspects that came into it that affected my life and affected, you know, the sacrifices I made to be with this person. So it was attached to many things that made it way more difficult, you know.
Mhm.
So
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Um, and when you, if you do share that with, you know, you're sharing it to me, you just met me today. Is it,
yeah.
does it help now? Does it bring back anything? Or how does it feel when you share a story like that?
Well, um, you know, I think at some points it was hard to share it because it got me emotional a lot of the time. And it was kind of one of those things where like, how much do I really want to share of this story? And I mean, I'm not even giving you the details. So sometimes when people would actually, you know, go into detail with me about what exactly happened or why
Mhm.
is it the way it is. Yeah, it was hard to talk about. It was something that I didn't necessarily want to talk about, but um, with probably a few people that were close to me, it was something that it was all I could talk about because it
Yeah.
consumed me, you know. It
Mhm.
was something that was always in the back of my mind, so it always had to come out. And I think that and that's when I got into poetry again because I was like, you know, there's so much there and I need to put it somewhere, you know.
Mhm.
And what better way to put it on paper and actually try to explain how I feel or try to explain how somebody hurt me, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and you know what's funny is that I got a lot of comments on this poem that was basically, you don't tell them how much they hurt you. And
Mhm.
that's the thing is like that is exactly the opposite of what the poem is supposed to mean it because I don't think you can actually find closure properly if you don't express how much somebody actually hurt you. Like it's one of those things that will just stay with you and the hurt will stay with you and you'll never really have that expression towards that person that this is how much you hurt me and they won't understand it. And I guess that was the situation in that scenario. So
Mhm.
the closure wasn't properly there for me at all, you know.
Wow.
So it was hard to talk about, but at the same time it was something I always wanted to talk about because it was just within me, you
Mhm.
know.
Wow.
Yeah.
You explain it well. And, you know, being a person who's been hurt too back in the days, and there's a lot of people that I know have been hurt, like what you're saying resonates with many people out there. And this is the process you go to when you break up with someone. The healing, the closure, that word, you hear that a lot. And if you don't get that closure, man, whew. But anyway, okay. So Belinda, this was amazing. Let the people know where they can find you. Because, you know, I also donate to a charity after every episode, which I'll ask you in a minute, which charity I'll be donating to. But where can people find you?
Um, so I do have a social media account on Instagram, which is bell.d.poet. So this is where I share most of my content for now. But like I said, the book will be coming up. So hopefully, you know, kind of expand there. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Sweet. And do you have a charity that I'll be donating to today? Have you researched that, or do you something close to you? Let me know.
Okay, yeah. So I did. Being a dietitian and being somebody in the medical field, um, and being a poet that's with someone who has a lot of emotion, I did come across a charity called Make a Wish, which is here in Dubai, and it's basically for children that have some form. It's either they have a medical condition that's very serious, and it's kind of like making their wish come true.
Hmm.
So whatever it is that they want to do but can't do, or there's some reason why they can't do it, the charity actually goes out of their way to make it happen. So I thought that's something that, I would actually be interested in helping, given both sides of me.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
So that's who I'll be donating to today. You can send me the link, or I can look it up myself and I can donate. All right. Belinda, thank you for coming out. Season 6. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
for having me. Honestly, this was so much fun.
Oh,
Really, really fun.
I like
Great
hearing
talking
that.
to you.
Yes. Hey, Real Talk with Star Scorpio Season 6, and we out.